Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the video discussion. We're going to combine the premium, the posts, the public, and also Fire Island and beyond. We're combining all the videos. That way, you can completely understand what's going on with this storm. You will be well prepared, and maybe you'll learn a little something about meteorology. So, part of this is what I typically do for premium members. So, if you like this video and like to see something like this almost every day, you might want to subscribe. Only $11 a month, less than what you pay at Starbucks. So let's dive into what we have here with this very interesting winter storm that is going to leave its very impressive mark on the region. With this storm happening post the equinox, has the potential of breaking a lot of snow records. So that's going to be pretty interesting, but it's also going to lead to a very wild snow precipitation map after this storm leaves. For example, already in southeastern Pennsylvania, we have some areas 6 to 10 inches of snow, especially south central Pennsylvania, say around right around this area right here. Okay, obviously where it's coldest right now, upper 20s to lower 30s. Meanwhile, just to your northeast, you barely have dusting to maybe 2 inches after all that snow and sleet throughout the entire day. In central New Jersey, I got maybe a quarter, maybe less than that, of sleet after precipitating and heavy precipitating all day. That is going to be the hallmark of this storm. That and also the very strong wind. So currently, at our surface temperatures over the interior, we're in the upper 20s to lower 30s, clearly cold enough to support frozen precipitation and accumulating frozen precipitation at that. And these whole interior areas, be very careful with travel this morning. It's going to be very icy. Along the coast, we have temperatures ranging from the mid 30s to upper 30s, well above freezing. Notice the winds already are from the north-northeast, anywhere from 15 to 20 miles per hour. Those winds will be increasing to 15 to 30 miles per hour, and I'll show you why I'm very concerned about the wind gusts as well as this storm evolves. This is 500 millibars. Now, this is why I'm very concerned about the intensification of this storm. Kind of give you a little bit of atmospheric science here, okay? When I see this spreading here of the height lines, okay, what that basically is think of it like a taffy, okay? When you spread the taffy, you kind of get little holes, right? Well, the atmosphere is always trying to balance itself. So when you get those holes, the atmosphere has to fill those holes. So what happens is you get rapidly rising air. So what this is telling me here is that this area right here, as this upper level low intensifies and this jet streak intensifies, leading to intense lifting, your best potential for an intensifying storm is over the New Jersey coastal waters into the south and east of Long Island. So this is key for me to see this morning. If this was further out, let's say out here to the southeast of New England, then I would probably be saying, this storm might track further east. But that is not happening. Ladies and gentlemen, that area of divergence and diffluence that I want to see for an intensifying storm for verification is lining up just about where you'd want it for a forecast of this type. So those are the observations so far. And as you can see on the surface map, our low pressure system, this is all going to consolidate into one very nasty storm with a rapidly deepening low pressure system that will lift up through the New Jersey coastal waters and towards the 40 north, 70 west benchmark. Just about what you would look for this type of storm. On the radar right now, we're starting to see our precipitation shield consolidate. Now, understand the true nature of this storm is not showing up until this afternoon. Right now, we're in between yesterday's low pressure system that produced a mix of precipitation throughout the region and the new low pressure system that is starting to consolidate. And so what you see here is the result of what we call onshore flow. The winds at all levels of the atmosphere coming off the Atlantic, interacting with this cold air and getting precipitation. But a lot of this is not reaching the ground because we have dry air in place. So what we have right now is what we call virga. Virga is basically a term which means that precipitation is falling from the clouds. Radar is picking it up, but it doesn't reach the ground because it evaporates before reaching the ground. Some locations are picking up some lighter snow, but that dry air is really eating away at the snowfall. This is our upper level low, and this again will shift towards the coast, and all of this will consolidate, and you'll see this whole precipitation shield blossom from Washington, D.C. all the way up into Connecticut as this storm intensifies and organizes. So again, this is just the start. We're at the infant stages of our new coastal storm. On the satellite picture, now this is from the National Weather Service, easy to find. This is the latest, newest satellite pictures. It's like watching 4K TV. It's amazing to see what we can see with this. Again, we're starting to see the first phase leave. Actually, we've been watching the first phase leave. You can see the divergence in diffluence. Now, if you're not familiar with storms, you might think, hey, look, this is all heading out in the Atlantic. We're going to miss it. Oh my God, this is going to be a bust, blah, 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 blah. It's things I typically see online. However, look at the clues. Look at what's happening here over the Appalachians. See how these clouds are expanding and cooling? You see how lifting is starting to increase. We're getting little signs of a little bit of convection here. Very, very, very small signs that start to say a new storm's starting to form, it's starting to get its act together. Not there yet, but we're starting to see the evolution. This is all via our onshore flow. This is the in-between phase of our two storms. And then we start to see, you're going to start to see later on this afternoon, this whole area. You see all these cloud tops starting to cool here. All of this is going to start to expand and blossom. And especially going to be focused from about the Virginia coast and work its way all the way up to New Jersey. It's going to be very majestic to watch. You know, dangerous, deadly in some cases, but it's going to be one of those cases where as an atmospheric scientist, it's just amazing to watch. Anybody, if you have a friend who loves weather, they're just going to be staring at the satellite picture all day. You're going to be wondering, what are they doing? But this stuff is, well, amazing to see. Now, this is the water vapor satellite picture. Here's our upper level low. Here we can see the jet stream. This Arctic disturbance is not going to get interacted with the storm until the very end, okay? Which is very good, because if it did, then we'd have even worse trouble for Thursday. But this is going to stay separate. This shortwave is rounding the bend. Pardon me, I had to cough. Okay, so this disturbance is rounding the bend. This upper level low is starting to evolve. And again, notice you could tell there's strong lifting. How? Dry air. Now remember, this is going to be very key for the forecast. Rising air must have a balance. Strong sinking air. What comes up must come down. Basic physics, right? So what we're seeing here is very strong sinking air. So that tells me that there's very strong lifting going on right here. Where is our surface low? Right here. Where is the strongest upper level lifting? Right here. So you see it's all consolidating. And as we move on through the day, this whole process is going to consolidate into one storm. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that observation-wise, everything's evolving as you would expect it. The boundary layer temperatures I've been concerned about when I'm trying to explain the snow forecast is pretty much in place. The upper level lifting is in place, the moisture feed, everything. So now that we have established that, now we can look at the model guidance. You know, this is why you look at the observations first, then the models. And then you see whether the models are matching up to the current observation. So the two models I'm using are the HRRR guidance and the NAM guidance. Now you can also use the European, even the GFS at this point is going to be locked onto the storm. I mean, it's happening today, it should. So the process here is not to say it's going to snow here, but the process here is to say what is possible, what are the models hinting at, and what are the possibilities as we move forward. So this is the latest HRR guidance. Now a new one is coming out right now as I'm speaking, but it's not complete yet, so I wanted to use the most complete one I have. So as you can see through this morning, let me pan down a little bit so you can see the timestamps here. Through this morning, light precipitation is developing. Now I'm using this just to show for this afternoon. Here we are. Now, what is this telling me? This is telling me, again, this is the DBZ chart, okay? This is the amount of heavy precipitation. The lower you go, the lighter the precipitation. What this is telling me is that I have a lot of convective precipitation here. What does that mean? Well, notice very heavy on Jersey Shore. Not necessarily going to happen, but this is the theme of the precipitation pattern. Very heavy precipitation, and then look, almost nothing. Very low. Move on through this entire storm, and that is the entire theme of this storm. Is that, there are going to be pockets of intense precipitation, but then right to the south, right to the north, east and west, it's going to be very light. And so some locations are going to fall under this, and other locations are not. Some locations, in this case, the HR guidance is suggesting that central New Jersey, of course, literally right in my home base, right there. It's been a curse the past month, should I say, of heavy precipitation showing up right over Freehold, New Jersey. Gotta love it. All right, meanwhile, look, Long Island, New York City, very light precipitation. And that's going to be a problem if you're trying to override very warm boundary layers or surface, the sidewalk, if you're trying to overwhelm that in order to have accumulating snow. So this is the theme as we move on through this afternoon and evening of pockets intense precipitation and very light precipitation. Notice just to your northwest, it's kind of lining up to the way I forecasted, but very light precipitation to the north here, a sharp cutoff, and all this intense precipitation. But within this precipitation shield, the point I'm trying to make is that this is not a solid precipitation shield where everyone's getting moderate to heavy snow. Some locations are getting pounded with 1 to 3 inch rate snowfall per hour. Other locations are barely getting a flurry. And at the same time, in this scenario, you have sinking air. Sinking air warms. I'm going to show you some of the mid-level temperatures and why that's important as we move forward. In terms of the NAM, this is the latest NAM guidance to see if it's showing basically the same thing. Here's our precipitation shield developing, pretty much lining up to what we're seeing in our observations. Now, the NAM guidance has been, well, on the cold side compared to what's actually happening here. Okay, we compared the surface data to the actual model output, and it's running a little bit too cold. But you kind of get the overall theme here is that even on the coldest NAM guidance, that the temperatures here are marginal. We're just getting to freezing. So that's going to be a very important factor when dealing with surface areas, especially in the middle of the day in March. So it's going to be a very interesting factor here. Now, with that, again, notice the precipitation shield. This isn't a solid, heavy snowfall. This is fragmented, broken, and you got some banding and some areas of almost nothing. And that is going on through the entire evening as this precipitation shield evolves. Okay, some areas are getting pounded. Other areas are saying, where's my snow? That is the nature of this storm. And that is what we're going to see through this entire storm for this afternoon, through tonight into early tomorrow morning as the storm evolves. Okay, so that's going to be the nature. One thing I am watching for that the NAM is trying to show here is what we call a deformation zone. Okay, that's basically one band of snow at the very end of the storm that creates just a lot of havoc. And it's suggested to show up somewhere between basically Albany all the way down to New York City and kind of linger. The NAM is the only model showing this, but I'm mentioning it just to say, hey, it's a possibility that something we're going to watch out for tomorrow morning. Now let's break down the layers. I'm going to explain why this is important. This is 700 millibars. This is what I'm looking for when I'm looking at this. Again, this is going beyond just saying, oh, look, here's a snow map. I'm going to post it and say, this is my forecast. Let's look at the actual layers in the atmosphere. Here we are at 700 millibars, okay? Why is this important? Anytime you have a rapidly intensifying 700 millibar low, okay? That's what we're seeing here. Locations to the north and northwest of that upper level low, as the storm evolves, tend to have the best potential for very strong banding. So where is that showing up? Southern Connecticut, Long Island, New York, New Jersey coast, right around Philadelphia and cutting off there. Okay, so that's your best potential as this storm evolves at 700 millibars. For 700 millibars, this is marginally cold air. Okay, it looks chilly. Everyone's saying, oh, look, it's all blue. But believe me, at 700 millibars, this is marginally cold air. Now at 850 millibars, again, we're using the NAM guidance. I wanted to use this coldest guidance that we have, that way to illustrate what we're dealing with in this storm. And what I'm seeing here, let's move to this afternoon, okay? What I'm seeing here is this is not a uniform cold air mass. This is a cold air mass that is driven by dynamic cooling. And we know that because of the way that the temperature shield is set up. You got warm air here over Connecticut, marginally cold air here over the New York City metro. You have very cold air here over southern New Jersey, but then it gets warm again, and then you got these little pockets here. What is this telling me? Again, you don't have to take this verbatim, but what it is telling you is that the atmosphere is going to be driven by these processes that are very difficult to forecast of rapidly rising and sinking air. And where air is rapidly rising, you're getting cooling, you're getting heavy snow. Where it's sinking, you're getting a mix of sleet and rain and a mess. And somebody's going to end up with wet roadways, wet sidewalk, and their next door neighbor is going to end up with 12 inches of snow. That is the nature of this storm. That is what I'm trying to illustrate here. At 925 millibars, again, NAM guidance once again. And what I'm trying to show here again is a marginally cold air mass, okay, at 925 millibars. Now again, this lines up with the 700 millibar low. So what does this tell me? This is where I'm going to be looking for my banding. Not everyone in this location is going to get heavy snow banding, but this is where I'm going to look for that development right here, okay? Some areas are going to get plastered. Other areas are going to say, where's my snow? But regardless, and this is really important for me to point out, regardless whether you get 12 inches of snow, 4 inches of snow and wet roadways, the one factor that's going to be dominant in this entire storm is going to be the strong winds and wind gusts. And we're already starting to get windy conditions. When you have this rising and sinking air, it can mix down wind speeds at the mid-levels at 850 millibars. At 850 millibars this afternoon, and this is at 4 p.m., I have winds ranging from 35 knots to 65 knots. So what that translates to down at the surface in miles per hour is 40 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts throughout the entire Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. Combine that with heavy wet snow, you're talking about visibility down to below a mile. You're having wind damage, down trees, power lines are going to be going down. It's going to be very, very difficult to travel this afternoon, evening. Okay, the evening rush hour, if you have a chance to stay home, do so. Do not be driving in these conditions. With that being the case, these strong winds also are going to enhance coastal flooding. So you're going to be talking about Long Island, New Jersey, the Connecticut coast, in your inner bays, okay, as winds back from northeast to northwest, talking about 15 to 30 mile per hour when sustained, gusts 40 to 70 miles per hour, and your coastal flooding will be 1 to 3 feet above the normal astronomical high tides, which is going to lead to some pretty significant coastal flooding. And by the way, with the region being pounded by all these nor'easters, there's also going to be a significant threat for some major beach erosion in these areas. So definitely be prepared. That is what this guidance is telling me here, is that there's going to be a lot of locations with some wind damage, power outages, and very nasty conditions. Finally, I just wanted to show you the latest HRR guidance with the temperatures. Again, this is the 9Z. I'm going to try and pop in and see if I can get the latest data. So here is the latest one. And notice what I'm trying to point out here this afternoon is that in a lot of areas, you're talking about temperatures in the middle of the day popping in at around, the mid 30s. Okay, that's marginal. Now, let's see if I can get the latest data to come in here. And maybe not. It's important to check these things. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here's the latest data. Let's see if it remains that. And again, during the heart of this storm, here's your timestamp. This guidance is suggesting very marginal temperatures over much of the region. The interior, especially higher elevations, I'm not concerned about this. Your main concern over the interior, northwestern New Jersey, the Poconos, the Hudson River Valley, is whether or not you miss out on the heavy precipitation because the lifting is so strong on the coast, and so the precipitation really has a tough time, especially with the dry air in place, of establishing itself. But along the coast, where you have your heaviest precipitation, temperatures are marginal. And if you're in New York City, and you know this, especially New York City and Philadelphia, you have marginal temperatures, even above freezing, it's going to be very hard to accumulate. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that evolves, whether this guidance works out. So again, to go over the forecast, okay, this is our hit zone, so to speak. Portions of south central Pennsylvania are already in this ballpark here, likely to push over 12 inches with the additional snowfall as phase 1 moves through. Again, portions here got 8 to 10 inches, just northeast, struggle to get an inch. Okay, so that's the nature of this storm again. So we're seeing that all evolve. You're seeing this storm you're seeing what the potential here. Most of this snowfall has the potential of just accumulating on cold and untreated surfaces. Okay, 4 to 8 inches of snow is expected. Whether that's just on the grass or on the roadways is still to be determined, depending on where your banding sets up. And if you get trapped under one of those snow bands for a prolonged period of time, you will go over 12 inches of snow and you will have snow accumulating on your roadways. Further north and west, the cutoff is going to be pretty dramatic. 2 to 4 inches here. Don't be surprised if you get 8 inches here and 2 inches here. Okay, that's how sharp this cutoff is going to be. Same thing here in Connecticut. 8 inches here, 2 inches here. Okay, so and Long Island, again, same scenario here with that heavier snowfall. Again, everyone's going to be impacted by those strong winds. Impact times now all the way on through 4 a.m. Thursday. Most of the snowfall will be from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. this evening. Okay, then we'll start to taper off. Winds 15 to 30 miles per hour, gusts 30 to 70 miles per hour. And again, in this scenario, there is a high threat here for a lot of sleet to mix in here, making for some icy roadways. Coastal flooding 1 to 3 feet above normal tides, and wind damage, power outages are a high threat. So let me give you some good news. So we all know about this storm. Let's move on through tomorrow. By tomorrow, storm pulls away. We start to see scattered cloud cover. Things start to improve, right? You have temperatures rebound into will range from the upper 20s to lower 30s for lows, lower to mid 40s for highs, and you're going to start to see the snowfall melt away. On Friday, scattered cloud cover, could see a flurry, but for the most part, just breezy out. Lows in the mid 20s, highs in the lower 40s. Still chilly, but hey, it's dry. Saturday and Sunday, high pressure will be in control. Our storm is suppressed to the south. Scattered cloud cover is expected. Temperatures will range for this weekend, mid 20s for lows, lower to mid 40s for highs. Here comes some of the good news. On Monday, high pressure starts to exit the region. Look for lows in the mid 20s, highs in the mid 40s. Tuesday, yes, I will be able to say 50s, as in high pressure in control. Watch out for this trough, maybe producing a few showers in Connecticut and Long Island. But otherwise, scattered cloud cover is expected. Temperatures will range from the mid 20s for lows, upper 40s to lower 50s for highs. Wednesday, high pressure in control. Look where our low pressure system is. It's going to be tracking up towards the Great Lakes. We're going to have temperatures on Wednesday in the mid 30s for lows, lower to mid 50s for highs. And if we go beyond this point, I'm not saying this is going to verify, but at the very least, for the first time in 2 weeks, I actually have this in the model guidance. Temperatures are expected to be for the end of next week, after we've dealt with this horrible storm, ranging from, in the highs, upper 50s to lower 60s. For the end of next week, on through the weekend at the start, we're going to be kicking off our baseball games here on next Thursday, and we'll actually be in the 50s and 60s. It's going to feel like a sauna for us. Baseball players are going to be like, well, we've been in Florida 70s and 80s. This is cold. But trust me, if this guidance holds true, yes, we will actually be in the 50s and 60s rather than talking about the upper 30s to 40s. We may be dealing with some showers on opening day for the Mets, and I think for the Yankees as well. But for the most part, and for the Phillies too, by the way, so I don't want to forget you guys. But for the most part, it looks like we're warming up, and spring may be on the way. That is your video discussion for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a little long, but I wanted to explain this storm. As always, stay safe out there, and I'll keep you posted throughout the day.